Most of you guys have been asking me on how you can prepare for a barista interview. Are you a new barista preparing for your first barista interview but you don't know where to start from? Don't worry, I got you. In this video, I'm going to share with you 5 simple tips that will help you when you're preparing for your barista interview. This is what has helped me in the 6 years of working as a barista. I've attended multiple barista interviews and I've been successful in most of them. I've been able to work as a junior barista, a senior barista, and a head barista. While working as a head barista, I was helping in conducting interviews whenever my coffee shop was hiring a new barista. During this time, I saw most of the baristas were not prepared for the interview. This led some of them have a problem with time management. They arrived late or they were in a rush. And others didn't do any research about the company hiring them. So during the interview, they didn't have anything to present that will earn them the opportunity of being hired as a barista. This is why I've made this video purposely for you. If you're a beginner barista struggling to prepare for your first interview. This is what you're going to need to prepare yourself for the interview. So when you go in, you'll be able to perform very well and get that opportunity of being a barista. These 5 tips is what I still use even until now if I'm invited for a barista interview. First thing that I do when I receive the invitation for the interview is to do a full research about the coffee shop that is inviting me for the interview. And I start by checking the company website or Instagram page. Here I'll get more information about the company or coffee shop that's going to hire me. Information like the company values and the goals, what they specialize in, like the items they sell, and what's on their full menu. This information is what I'll use to align my answers during the interview, which will make me the ideal candidate for the job. And the second thing that I do to prepare for my barista interview is to get the right coffee knowledge that is required for the position that I'm going to be interviewed for. Working as a barista, we have mainly 3 positions that you can work as a barista. You can work as a junior barista, you can work as a senior barista, and you can work as a head barista. Each of these positions will require different amount of knowledge about coffee. So as a beginner barista, you're going to need to have the basic knowledge about coffee, the different coffee drinks and how you can make them. A senior barista, you should be able to calibrate the different coffee machines and able to use them fully very well and make a good cup of coffee. And as a head barista, you should be able to have all the knowledge required about the coffee and also to train the new staff that are being hired in the coffee shop. Another role that is required of you as a head barista, you should be able to make new coffee drinks and also to come up with the recipes that are used to make the different coffee drinks in that coffee shop. This is why it's very important to prepare and have good knowledge when you go in for that barista interview. It will help you to perform well during your interview and stand out amongst other candidates, which will make you the right candidate and get the opportunity of becoming a barista. And the third tip that you're going to need when you're preparing for your barista interview is to organize each and everything that you're going to need for the interview. A barista job requires you to be organized. And this is portrayed on how you present yourself during the interview. You need to be very smart. You need to have a good personal hygiene so that you can be able to give a good first impression. And also good time management. Arrive on time for the interview to prevent any delays that may cause you to arrive late for the interview. Research about the location of the interview and plan how to reach there on time. This is a common mistake that I see most of the people make during the day of their interview. So to prevent this, plan everything before time, organize each and everything that you might need for your interview. Showing someone at the first day of the interview that you're organized and you're prepared for each and everything, it's a good sign that will help you to become a good candidate. And this is going to lead us to our tip number 4, which is being open to feedback and also willing to learn. Being open to feedback is an important skill that you should have as a barista. This shows your ability to problem solving and also willingness to learn new things. This is why during the interview you might be asked if you have ever encountered a challenge or a bad feedback from a customer, and how you are able to solve it. The only way you can solve a problem is by listening to the problem and finding a solution. For you to solve any challenges that you're going to face as a barista, you need to be open-minded on the feedback and finding solution. You should be willing to handle any feedback because this is one of your strengths as a barista. But the most important thing, for you to grow as a barista, you should be willing to learn and improve, because whenever any coffee shop is hiring a new candidate, they are looking for that candidate that is willing to learn so that he can be able to reach the standards of the coffee shop. And our tip number 5, this is something that is a challenge to most of the beginner baristas, but even as a senior barista, you should be prepared for practicals when you go in for a barista interview. Most of the time when you go in for a barista interview, you're going to be required to make a coffee drink or latte art depending on the level of barista you are. This is why it's very important, if you go in for a barista interview, to be honest and true to yourself, because most of the time you do a good theory and you spoil each and everything when you're doing the practicals. So if you're a beginner barista, it's very good for you to inform the HR like you don't have too much experience about coffee, but you're willing to learn and you're willing to grow to become a better barista. And if you're a professional barista, one of the tips that has helped me perform well on my practicals is always finding out the espresso machine that they're using in that coffee shop. This is going to enable me to operate the espresso machine very well. Most of the time, checking the Instagram page, you often find the pictures of the espresso machine. You can do a full research about that espresso machine on how you can operate it. So when you go in for a barista interview, you already know the espresso machine they're having and how you can operate it to make a good cup of coffee. But even without knowing the espresso machine, ask the barista at that coffee station. He will be able to guide you on how to operate the espresso machine. You shouldn't be ashamed because there are so many different espresso machines, and operating each of the espresso machine is totally different from each other. So these are the 5 tips that I would give to any barista preparing for a barista interview. If you follow these simple steps, you'll be able to fully prepare for your interview and perform well at your interview so that you can be able to get your first barista job. But after preparing yourself, you're going to need to know the common questions that are being asked when you go in for a barista interview. This is why I would recommend for you to watch this video next, because I've explained on how you can answer these questions perfectly when you go in for the barista interview. So if you have any questions of something that I haven't mentioned in this video, make sure to link it in the comment section below.